Welcome to Windows on the World, bringing you cutting-edge news, empowering information, and no conspiracy theories. On tonight's show, this week on Windows on the World, I wanted to talk about the addition of lithium salts to the water supply. And this has been talked about for quite a number of years now. Lithium salts are naturally occurring in the water supply in certain areas, and they are also used for calibration of the water supply. This is according to DEFRA documents. But the addition of lithium salts to the water supply is brought up in a DEFRA document from 2014. But this goes back quite a number of years. Now, as we know, lithium is used for the treatment of bipolar disorder and mental illness, really, or what's diagnosed as mental illness. It basically dumbs people down and makes them happy. So this is an article from the Daily Mail in 2011, and the first line is a little bit of a giveaway. Lithium has been heralded by some experts as the next potential fluoride. Now, most people who listen to this show will know what the dangers of fluoride are and that it is indeed a toxic element, but the actual wording of that is very interesting. So lithium has been heralded by some experts as the next potential fluoride. It gives it all away there in the first line. It says this is after scientists found suicide rates were lower in areas where the drinking water had higher concentrations of the element, that's lithium. Researchers from the Medical University of Vienna compared the suicide rates in different regions of Austria with the natural lithium concentrations in the drinking water. The study, published in the British Journal of Psychiatry, analysed a sample of 6,460 lithium measurements and then compared suicide rates across 99 districts. In the 10 most lithium-depleted regions in Austria, the suicide rate was 16 per 100,000, but in the 10 most lithium-rich regions, the suicide rate was just 11 per 100,000. Well, that's really not a very convincing statistic, and it was published by the British Journal of Psychiatry. So, in my opinion, that just cannot be trusted, because we know what psychiatry really is all about. Most people watching this show will know what psychiatry is about, and if you don't, there is a film called Psychiatry and Industry of Death, which is well worth watching, which gives you the background of what psychiatry really is and what it's used for. But it says Dr. Jacob Apple from Mount Sinai Hospital in New York said the latest studies provided compelling evidence of the mood-stabilizing benefits of lithium. He says the theory is that lithium in trace amounts enhances the connectivity among neurons, and having exposure over a lifetime makes the brain more happy, he explained. Well, why doesn't he drink it every day then? Maybe he does. He said the US already supplemented the drinking water with fluoride to prevent tooth decay, yawn, as if that's true, and it would be relatively easy to add lithium, which is a naturally occurring element. He added, people who oppose adding lithium to the drinking water in trace amounts don't go around advocating to strain the lithium from the drinking water from areas where it does exist. Why not give everyone the same benefit, he says. Dr. Apple is not a lone voice on the subject. The idea was first mooted by Dr. Gerard Schweitzer after he was inspired by the miracle spring in his hometown of Frankenbad in the Czech Republic. In 1989, Dr. Schweitzer published a survey that looked at 27 countries in Texas over a decade. He found there was a consistent inverse relationship between lithium levels in water and the suicide, violent crime and rape rate. But his proposal to supplement water supplies with lithium was not popular. People were convinced I was trying to impose mass mind control, he told thedaily.com. There was widespread ignorance about what lithium does. So that's part of an article that was published in 2011 by the Daily Mail. There have been several since, but I thought that was very interesting, especially that first line, that lithium could be the new fluoride. I think there's a hidden message in that personally, but then again, I could be just a conspiracy theorist. I spoke to Morad Kamal of Osmio Water Filters. He supplies filtration of water to people who need it, which is, in my opinion, everybody. And I spoke to Morad about the lithium salts being added to the water supply and what he thought of it.
This one's quite an interesting thing because,
Yeah.
like all things, it is, there's like conspiracy undertones to it, but also there's like a legitimate face to it as well. So, for example, they use lithium salts for meter calibration. So, across the whole water supply network, there are flow meters that control that give data back to the central place that tell them how the flow is going. The reason is because water companies have to monitor like pressure and flow rates across the whole network, because they get fined massively if people lose water pressure, or if their water pressure gets too high and damages equipment. Lots of things. So if you look at the drinking water inspectorate and all the prosecutions, you see that the water companies, they get heavily prosecuted for flow and pressure issues, that they give their customers. So lithium, it's actually lithium chloride. When they're talking about lithium salts, they're talking about lithium chloride. It's one of the ways. That they can do flow meter calibration, because flow meters are, they can just put out any information, but the actual calibration of a meter is to do with getting a right reading out of it, and that's to do with like the density of the water. It gets a bit scientific and complicated, but basically they use lithium chloride as a almost like as an agent in the water to it's like a kind of like a, if you think about it, like almost like a dye, like as a way of it is a dye really. And it's a way of them, changing the density of the water in order to calibrate the meter so it's set right. When the water that doesn't have the lithium dye added to it is, and calibration is all on a scale. Like, you just have to pick a level which is like your zero, and then everything else measured is from that point. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
but they don't have to use lithium chloride. They could use other methods. There's dozens of other ways you can calibrate flow meters. It doesn't have to be lithium chloride, and it just so happens coincidentally that lithium is quite useful as a mood stabilizer as well. But it also, funnily enough, and you've probably seen this come out over the years, all these studies from Japan and America and places like that, about lithium being added to the water supply, and studies showing lower crime rates and lower, suicides and all that stuff. And you've seen all that come out, right, from the same old research bodies and universities and places that put out all the stuff, So why are they doing that? So why is it so interesting? And it really is interesting. It's got similar stories to fluoride as well, because lithium was used. I mean, when there was like a nuclear arms race after the Second World War, lithium prices went through the roof because they use lithium in as a agent, as a fuel agent in atomic weapons, nuclear weapons. So lithium then, the whole worldwide supply of lithium is controlled by about 3 or 4 oligarchs. So that's interesting. And then as the nuclear arms race sort of went down a bit in what it is now, there's still high demand for lithium, but it's not as crazy as it was, So and so I don't know what, I mean, the mere suggestion of it being added to water supply is quite, I mean, for me it's a bit crazy, but also there's a business behind that as well, isn't there? For example, Thames Water probably would have either an in-house team or a subcontractor who is there to do their flow meter calibrations across the whole network. Why they then use lithium chloride, I have no idea, because there are other ways of calibrating. They don't have to use lithium, so maybe it's because that's just an established way of doing it, or they have a supply of that, or something. I really don't know the answer to that, to be honest. But the point is, there are other ways of doing it. So lithium doesn't have to be used to do that. So what they're saying in this article, in this report that you sent me, is that they're saying you can use lithium salts for meter calibration, provided that you're not using more than 0.1 milligrams per liter at any time. And the reason they've said 0.1 milligrams per liter, which is it's basically because, according to established nutritional thinking, they think that the body needs that amount of lithium per day as a nutritional thing for the body, which I don't know if that's true or not, but apparently that because you get lithium from not just water, you get it from vegetables and maybe meat as well, like you get it from grain, and you get it from any vegetable. That's obviously lithium is a naturally occurring element from rocks, isn't it? So
so it's like a trace element in
many
and
as rocks erode, it gets into the soil and everything like that. So if you and whatever vegetables you eat are basically they contain whatever's in the soil and whatever's in the water, So we do get lithium. We all ingest lithium on a day-to-day basis, and how much depends on actually where you live and what sort of food you eat and where it's grown. There are places in the world that have really high concentrations of lithium in water and in soil, like some bits of China, like California does in America. California has really high levels of lithium naturally, so maybe that's why they're all chilled out. I don't know, but anyway, we all take in a little bit of lithium every day. So, but the point is that there's a lot of in the media has come out about lithium. Research agencies, Science for Hire, putting out articles or news saying we think lithium's it's a good idea to add a bit of lithium into the water for to help society function a bit better. I mean, I don't know too much about how lithium affects the physiology of the body, but we know that it stabilizes mood. So if you're depressed, it makes you less depressed. If you're manic and high, it makes you less high. All the studies that came out saying we studied lithium in water, and we found that there's lower crime rates and suicide rates in high lithium areas versus low lithium areas. All of that was totally discredited. Totally. I mean, it's just really weak statistical arguments. Really weak. I mean, it all comes down to these dodgy statistical methods that no one really has time to look into. But I know there's been it's outrageous. I mean, there's some. I think there was a couple of. I remember a few years ago there was someone from Imperial University that put out a lot of stuff about lithium and recommending it being added to water, and they ended up getting like thousands of death threats and stuff like that from people. and then a lot of other scientists came out and critically appraised those studies and just basically said they were a load of rubbish. But
it's quite funny. So basically, they got threatened. They got death threats because they put lithium in the water supply. But after they put lithium in the water supply, they didn't get any death threats at all.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but I don't. And then every sort of year or so, because I follow water quite closely, it always pops out the same news story. Keeps popping up all the time. Like if you read the daily, the Sun or the Star, or you see these stories regularly about these big mutant rats. It's the same thing with lithium in water. That story keeps popping up all the time. And why? Because I know it's an interesting subject, but I think it might also be something that, in the media, we're getting used to. We're getting used to seeing suggestions about lithium being put in water. So by the time it does come round to being approved, then it's not such a shock. You know what I mean? It's almost like getting used to it, desensitizing you to that notion that lithium could be added to your water, and
That's exactly right. Yes, it's done by stealth and it's put into the media, and that's a very good point, actually, Morad.
it's a long-term strategy. It is a long-term strategy. I mean, I think, I think if you think about fluoridation, that was a long-term strategy as well.
So let's talk a bit about what you do and how important water filtration is for domestic water supplies. What would you say?
Oh, it's so important. I think it's really, really important. I mean, no matter where you are in the world, I would always filter your water, because it's basically there's no other choice. There's mains tap water, which the more densely populated area you live in, the chances of it being really bad are much higher. It's because of the way it's treated. It's treated in a very quick way. You've got basically disinfection chemicals in water. You've got, although they're supposed to be at supposed safe levels, you've got disinfection byproducts and chlorine, which all are, have associations with bad health problems. And they're just totally unnecessary. You've got some interesting statistics, like if you live in London, you've got more than 50% of the network is over 100 years old. Think about the amount of corrosion of pipes and microbiological problems and rodents and all sorts of things going on. Think about it. 3.5 billion litres of water a day is wasted through leaks in the network. I mean, think about what gets into the water supply just after it's been treated and it gets to your house. You know what I mean? There's so much, and there's also a lot of propaganda. Ask the average person. They go, they think tap water's great and it's absolutely brilliant, and the average person knows no better. They really don't, because they don't have the information that we have. I mean, I run a water filter company, and we get calls every day from people who have water-related problems, and we intimate, we know exactly what's going on, with the water supply. So there's no pulling any wool over our eyes. And we also, we have to deal with people who have their own water supply and have to treat it so it's, safe and healthy for them as well. So we get involved in all types of things. But it's really important because, I do my own quality testing on water. I've got various equipment to I've got equipment which can test, exactly what's in your water and what's dissolved and what isn't and so on. And when you actually look at it versus water that's purified, it's the difference is huge. It's amazing. So it's really important to do it, I think, because things like lead in water, it can accumulates in your body over time. I think I worked it out. Like the average amount of lead in my tap water, if I take all of that out, then in 20 years I'll probably avoid about 12 kilos of lead. Which is a lot of lead, that goes through your system, and most of it gets out of your system, but a lot of it doesn't. It bioaccumulates in your system as well. So, but the other thing as well is that when water, I mean, if you drink mains tap water, you're used to it, and you're used to the taste of it and everything like that, and you don't really see anything wrong with it until you have something better, and So once you do have something better, then when you drink tap water, you're like, oh, it's horrible, and so that's not really a choice for me. For me, you have to treat your own tap water to make it really good quality for when you want to drink it, when you want to wash in it, and so on. And then the other choice you've got is buying bottled water, which is even worse. It's even worse than tap water. Because there's no regulation around it, and the water could be sitting in that bottle for 8 months before you drink it, and it could have come from halfway around the world, and it's sitting in a plastic bottle, and it's leached about 5,000 different carcinogenic chemicals from the plastic. Although it probably tastes better than tap water. I mean, most of the stuff in water you can't taste anyway. So, but with plastic you can taste it. If you drink water from a plastic bottle versus a glass bottle, you can taste a difference between them. Anyone can, or you can taste it more if you drink other drinks. Like if you drank orange juice from a plastic bottle or a glass bottle, you can taste a difference in that orange juice because you've got the liquid, which is solvent, reacting with its container. And water is a solvent. It's the most solvent substance on earth. It wants to absorb everything it touches, So you have to filter your water, but the more you look into it, in terms of the filter world, there's a big spectrum of different filters. There's the stuff you can buy in supermarkets, and you think, there's all this stuff in water, I've got to get a filter, and people go, all right, I'll go to the supermarket and buy a Brita jug filter, and that's me done. But it's not. It really isn't, because if you look at the stuff that you really should use that really makes a difference, it's vastly superior to that and a lot more complicated and quite often a lot more expensive, although it's not more expensive to run it, so that's the thing. I mean, if anyone rings me up and asks me what I should use to filter my water, I'll always tell them an alkaline reverse osmosis system, which filters water down to 0.0001 micron, and it will then alkalize the water by adding little bits of alkaline mineral like calcium and magnesium, things like that, to raise the pH to between sort of 8.5 and 9.5, and that to me is the best water for drinking. And so we focus a lot on systems like that. But so water filtration is my life. So when I got into it because of the whole fluoridation thing, and the fact that there were not good quality products available on the high street, for people. So for me, it was the only choice, really. There's the only thing you can do. So I recommend it for everyone. And once people have it, there's no going back, because you can't then go back to drinking tap water, because for one thing, it tastes horrible. I think filtration is really important for health and so on. And you know what? It's really sad, Mark, because sometimes maybe once or twice a week I get a call from someone who's been diagnosed with cancer, and their doctors recommended they drink more water, and they get a water filter system, and it's like and they're looking around for anything to help their health, and they're doing everything. They're going on a raw food diet, they're doing this and this, they're taking spirulina, whatever, and you think to yourself, like, why don't people do that in their day-to-day lives and avoid getting that bad? Because sometimes you only take your health into consideration when it's too late. That's the thing. So you should really make it a lifestyle choice. Drinking good water, and when you have really good water on tap in your own house, you're going to drink liters of it a day. You're going to use it for cooking. You're going to fill up the kettle with it. You're going to wash yourself in it, and you're just going to enjoy water a lot more. And you're probably going to drink less of these really, really acidic and high sugary drinks and things like that. Like people give their kids, little cartons of juice and things like that, really sugary stuff, and they go all manic and hyper, and you think, well, why not just give them good water? And a lot of people just can't drink water because they don't like its taste, or they don't really think about it.
Well, it's incredible, really, because dehydration is actually one of the biggest killers on the planet, especially in the elderly, and it affects everything. It affects your ability to concentrate, how you feel, your energy, and of course it starts killing off the brain if you're not rehydrating.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, water is a solvent for your body, isn't it? When you drink water, you need water for your body so your body can move stuff around your body and also get rid of stuff from your body as well. So when you drink really pure water, that water is a lot more solvent and absorptive than water which has a lot of stuff in it already, dissolved stuff in it. So if you drink really pure water, it's better at getting rid of toxins from your body that you take in through everything, through what you eat and drink and the air and everything. Your body needs to move that stuff around to get rid of it and absorb it and take it out your body. But then, not just that. It's not just about filtration. It's about conditioning water as well, because you can condition water to be even more healthy for you. You can give it a more of an antioxidant property, so it can have a negative oxidation reduction, which means it's antioxidant, which is good at things like free radicals, which lead to cancer, tumor growth, and things like that. You need antioxidant in your body to get rid of things like that. You need alkalinity is another important point, because your alkalinity in your body is controlled by a little function in your brain called your hypothalamus, which tells your phosphate functions in your bones and organs to release alkaline mineral to balance your blood pH to around 7.3. If your blood pH goes too low or too high, you can get extremely sick. You'll be in intensive care if your blood pH goes down by 0.2. So when you have a diet of like meat and pasta and chips and things like that, or fizzy drinks, you're just putting loads and loads of acid forming stuff into your body. So you need your body then has to react by releasing alkalinity from your bones and from your organs. So what that ends up doing is leading to health problems later in life, like osteoporosis, where your bones get all hard and brittle because they've lost a lot of the alkalinity that kept them strong and supple. Like, when babies are growing up and they're developing their bones, they just drink milk all the time to build up their bones, and make them stronger and healthier. And as we get older, that just goes, so because of what we do to ourselves, because of the diets, But equally, being too alkaline is a problem as well. It's alkalosis. It can make you quite sick being too alkaline. So it's just about balance,
As far as the filtration process and what you do, can you explain a little bit about reverse osmosis? And say you were attending someone's house and they wanted a water filtration system. Can you just take us through filtering elements that are added?
The best source of water is actually the rain in some ways, because rain is nature's pure water. Rain is basically water that's evaporated and it's formed clouds and it's condensed in clouds and it's rained down back down to earth. But if you hold a glass of water out when it's raining, that's like the purest water you can drink, pretty much. And although that water is slightly on the acidic side because it doesn't have any alkaline minerals in it. Normally when it hits the earth and touches rocks and stuff like that, it starts to pick up these alkaline minerals. But rainwater is, for centuries been nature's pure water, and we're designed to be drinking that type of thing, Now, in the absence of harvesting and drinking your own rainwater, the next best thing you can do is go for something called a reverse osmosis system. Osmosis is basically when something travels from a low concentration solution, from a high concentration solution to a low concentration solution through a semi-permeable membrane. So if you've got a high concentration on one side and you've got a semi-permeable membrane on the other side, then osmosis is basically that high concentration going through that membrane and balancing into the low concentration. Reverse osmosis works in the opposite direction. That's why it's called reverse osmosis, because you're going from you're basically taking water which is highly concentrated. Your water pressures then trying to push it through this tiny membrane, 0.0001 micron, and then on the other side of the membrane you're getting a very pure stream of water, and the other stream of water is going to be highly concentrated. So in a reverse osmosis system, water goes through a set of filters initially. So they would be like typically there'll be a sediment filter and a carbon filter, and carbon filters are they're like sponges for different chemicals, and they're either made from coconut shells or they're made from animal bones. Um, so you can, I mean, animal bone char, carbon is one of the best for absorbing things like chlorine and fluoride and things like that. The next best one is made from coconuts. So water then will go through that, and then it will hit the membrane, and then it will be, go through that reverse osmosis process, and then you'll have a little holding tank of really pure water. And then after you've got that pure water, you can run it through an alkaline filter and then straight into your tap. So, those systems go underneath the sink. You can install them. But we also have systems where you don't have to install them at all. They're fully portable. You just plug them in and fill up you pull out a little tray and you fill it up with 4 litres and you put it in. And out of that 4 litres, it can make 2 litres of really pure alkaline water. And then the other 2 litres is held in the pitcher, and you can just use it for whatever, cleaning or something, So we've got everything basically. We've got like shower filters and things that you can easily screw onto your shower to give you a really pure shower. And take out the chlorine and anything that gives you irritation or itchiness or dryness. You can do something about it, and it's much better for your health. I mean, we know that because we get people doing it and writing into us to say how happy they are, that they're having pure water. So whatever your circumstances, whether you've got your own house that you own, or whether you're renting somewhere, or if you're moving on the move all the time, there's a system that we've got for you. Like we've got systems that are there for disaster zones, where there's no access to clean water and people have to take water from ponds and rivers and so on. It's a little gravity system that you can carry around in a rucksack, and you just set up and you fill up an upper chamber, and it filters through these silver impregnated ceramic carbon filters, and it makes the water absolutely pure. At least safe enough to drink so that you don't get sick. But really the best solution is an alkaline reverse osmosis. Like in my house, I've got a 6-stage alkaline reverse osmosis system. And it's absolutely fantastic. Everyone who comes round and has the water is amazed how good it tastes and how pure it is. And I can show them physically by doing a colour test how pure the water is. So I can take 2 glasses of water, one untreated and one reverse osmosis, and basically you can put an anode and cathode in the water and run an electric current, and that will basically it will undissolve everything that's dissolved in the water. So it shows you one side which has a lot of dissolved substance in it, and one side which has very little dissolved substance in it. And that's one visual, way that you can see the quality of your water. And for a lot of people, it's shocking how much purer the water that's been through reverse osmosis is versus the one that's come from your tap.
That's great. That's very interesting, Morad. Can you tell us a bit about how to contact you and a bit about your company?
Yeah, sure. My company is called Osmio Water. And we have a website which is www.osmiowater.co.uk. If you want to call me, you can ring us on 0800 002 9533, or you can email info@osmiowater.co.uk. Osmio is spelled OSMIO. And if you want to, if you want to do it, then just talk to us, and we'll ask you some questions about your circumstances, and just we've got 450 products, we're from loads of different manufacturers, and so we've always got the right solution for whatever your circumstances are.
Thanks for watching Windows on the World. Remember, keep watching those, watching us, watching Windows on the World, and we'll see you soon.